Welcome back to my channel. I'm Lisa Gaskarth, and today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. So as a wedding planner, I have the pleasure of interacting with every single vendor that's part of your big day. And I thought it would be really fun to have some of them on to get to know them. And yeah, so today we have Jill from B.O.B. Photography, who I have had the pleasure of knowing for over a decade, and she shot my wedding. Yay! Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
You're welcome, of course. So please tell us a little bit about yourself to get us started.
Well, my name is Jill, and I've been running the ship at B.O.B. Photography for probably about 13 years now. I was only doing full-time wedding photography for about 7 of those years. I have a team of 3 people, and we have been working together now for about 5 years. Mike, who is my main second shooter.
We love Mike.
We do love
Hi,
Mike.
Hi, Mike. If you're watching.
He actually has shot really awesome weddings with me, including Lisa's wedding.
Yeah.
Photographed weddings all over the place. We photographed weddings in LA. We actually went to Italy last year, and it was really awesome. This year, we're tending to stay focused more on the United States. It's just once you become a mom, you want to be home, and it's very difficult to travel with weddings because you have to be there for a while. But yeah, and Lisa's one of my favorite, just kidding, she's my favorite wedding coordinator. She always keeps a very tight ship, and she communicates great with all the other team members.
Okay, so would you agree that as wedding vendors, sometimes we need a little bit of booze to get through our day?
Yes.
Fantastic.
100% yes.
So I thought it would be really fun to start all of our wedding vendor videos with what I like to call the shambong.
The shampong.
All right, so here's how it's going to work. First, we shambong.
Okay.
And then I'm going to rapid fire some questions at you, and you're going to answer them.
Awesome.
Cheers.
How do you do this?
Ooh.
He's way better at that than I am.
Ooh, that was rough. That was great.
That was delightful. Now it's rapid fire question time.
Okay. First question. Who is your favorite planner? On the record?
You.
You heard it here, folks.
No, for real. I've worked with, like I said, we do about 30 to 30. This year we did 37 weddings, and I've worked with coordinators all over the gamut of experience. And you run a very well-oiled machine. And I'm not just saying that to float your ego or anything like that.
I was really just teasing, but thank you.
No, but I've worked with some where I've literally had to take control because nothing was making sense. And the timeline was all over the place. So it's nice to work with somebody where I know I'm going to get a timeline that takes into account our photographs and the timeline for photos so that everybody's happy and we're not running around like chickens with our heads cut off.
That's such a huge part of what we do as planners is try and make sure that all of our vendors are just as happy as our clients. So for me, it's great to work with photographers who do a shot list and have great communication with our brides and grooms, and with you we always get that, and it's always super smooth. So I love working with you.
Well, I love working with you too. I feel like we should get best friends necklaces.
We should. Let's do it.
Done.
Let's do it. So what is the moment on a wedding day most likely to make you cry?
Ooh, mother-son dances.
Oh.
Yep. So for those of you that don't know, I have a 3-year-old little boy, and he is
so cute.
He's my heart. And right after having Clark, I did a wedding, and mind you, they did the mother-son dance, and they danced to You Are My Sunshine. And at the time, Clark was really little, and I was humming that to him. So I was ugly crying, shooting through the tears, made it through the dance.
I feel like I might ugly cry a little bit.
Mike,
I said I wouldn't cry.
Yes. Mike, my second shooter, pulled me aside. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. It's just Clark's gonna get married someday." And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "Oh, 3 weeks old." And I'm like, "I know," but it's definitely becoming a parent makes wedding days a lot more special.
Emotional.
More emotional for not just the couple, but also the parents watching their kids get married. I just got goosebumps.
I love that.
But yeah, it's the parent interaction, because you realize that this is a part of them that is moving on to the next phase of their life.
Absolutely. So did you always want to be a photographer?
No.
What did you want to do?
I actually worked in the finance market for...
Did you really?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't even know you.
For 7 years I did. I worked in finance about stock market and what moves.
Wow.
It's kind of dorky. Yeah, I know. You don't even know me.
I don't know you.
But
that's amazing.
And then I got into photography. I did photography in college, but it was more of, I just was one of those kids that didn't want to learn the details and all the things you need to know that go into like studio lighting and things like that. So once I got out, I had to kind of teach myself.
Wow.
And then I did a lot of, when I moved to Los Angeles, I started doing tattooed stuff for like Ink Magazine and Ink Girls and things like that, which was...
So tell everybody a little bit about where you've lived and worked.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it's really fun because you've been a lot of cool places.
Sorta. I'm kind of weird. So originally I'm from Maryland, which is how I met you. And then I moved to Los Angeles for a couple years, lived there, and I started doing a lot of ink, tattoo magazine type work. And I really enjoyed that because I like the girly aspect of it. I like the femininity and the posing and the lighting and things like that and accentuating women, which is why I think it stems into why I'm good at shooting weddings, because I know how, regardless of how you're built, I know how to pose you to make it flattering.
For sure.
And then after that, I went to Nashville, Tennessee. And I lived in Nashville for a while and was actually photographing a lot of country celebrities and their families. And that's kind of what spun me into weddings, because I liked the shots that weren't necessarily everybody looking at the camera.
Right.
It was like the interaction of the families, and those always ended up being my favorite shots.
Those big moments.
Yeah, where it's
those are really important.
Because, with country artists, they would always do shots with themselves, but when they involve their family, it's a different level. It's more of a connection base, and that's kind of how I fell into weddings.
I feel like the country world is really like that too, very family-oriented and, I don't remember what else.
That's very true, because their weekends are off.
Right.
So they tour Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, but they're off on the weekends to have family time.
Right. Yeah.
So
cool.
that was a very true statement.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you wish that your clients knew before booking you?
Ooh, good one. I wish that they would know to fully trust me. That's the one thing I think I've come across in my years of experience is people want to try, where I'll have couples that do some sort of management position for their jobs, and they want to try and take that over into their wedding day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
I see that a lot too.
So it's like you need to be able to hire people that you trust. Because if you don't...
Thank you.
And
I very loud slap.
We're good at high five. It's one of those things where if you don't trust the people you're working with, you're not going to get a great end result, because you're going to not be in the moment. You need to be in the moment wholeheartedly and realize this day is going to be over in the blink of an eye.
100%.
So let the people that do this every single weekend, let them run that ship.
Yes.
Because they're going to make sure you're where you need to be. And if you have that level of trust, you're going to be able to sit back and enjoy. And the moment shots that you see on Pinterest or on Instagram, those will happen when you're living in the moment. Because if you're constantly checking your email or checking your phone or checking to see who's where and what's going on, all those shots are going to happen like this.
Right. And it's going to be more posed and less real.
Exactly.
And I find that those moments end up being the photos that people end up framing and that they really cherish more so than some of the posed photos where they're not as in it.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. And one other thing is put your phones away.
Yes.
Bridal parties, put your phones away.
Thank you.
Because so many shots that I've done, or weddings that I've done recently, luckily most of my brides are all very adamant about everybody putting their phones away. But sometimes, in previous years, I've had wedding parties where they're hanging out and doing things where there could have been a moment where somebody's looking and there's this really emotional shot. Right. 3 people in the background have their cell phones up, checking Instagram. And it's like, no, this 8-hour time it's gonna happen so fast. And unless you're, being there and being present, you're not even gonna remember it, because you're gonna be sitting there mindlessly scrolling social media. When it's for 8 hours, just make it a point to put it away and be there for your friends.
I completely agree. And this is something that we're gonna talk about in another video, but it's very important that you mind the photographers and let them do their job as wedding guests. Wedding guest etiquette. Mic drop. Thank you. What would you say is the hardest thing about your job?
Honestly, it goes back to hiring a good team, is working with vendors that are not very professional. Yeah. Because it happens, it happens a few times a year, but you work with people that, they're not very well versed in the world of, weddings such and such, or you may be a coordinator in some other things, but not in weddings, or you don't have a lot of experience in weddings and you're trying to get your feet wet.
This is why hiring experienced vendors is worth every penny. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You 100% get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's always just hire a good team and even cross-check. Say before, if you trust your coordinator and you trust your photographer, check with them. Say, have you heard of this person? If you're entertaining the thought of hiring somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience.
Yes, yeah.
Or, ask other vendors that you trust for a list of recommended vendors, because that's a way you can ensure that you're going to have I've said well-oiled machine like 8 times today. But
it's true.
It's,
a well-oiled machine.
If everybody works together and knows where you should be and not to be,
then you're good to go. That is the question. What's the funniest thing that you've ever witnessed at a wedding? Do you have any good stories?
I do of myself.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So right after I was pregnant, I was wearing my pregnancy pants to their full extent.
Pants.
Oh,
love it.
They're just amazing. But I was wearing them a little too much after pregnancy because I just didn't want to transition back into real clothes again.
Okay.
And I was leaning over to take a shot of a giant wedding party. And my assistant comes up behind me and she goes, "Jill, stand up." And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "You have a hole in your pants." So she came up with this sweater behind me and slowly, awkwardly put it around my waist. So needless to say, check your pants.
Check your pants
before
everybody.
your wedding days. And I always keep a spare pair of dress pants in my car for that. Luckily, it's only ever happened once. But that was a good one. You
know what? I actually had a wardrobe malfunction as well. It wasn't at a wedding. It was at a nonprofit event. But I was wearing a jumpsuit, as I usually do. And the zipper broke right before our program was about to begin. It was 5 minutes before our program was starting. And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't get my zipper up. What is going to happen?" Luckily, I had to rip it off because it was stuck halfway and it wasn't high enough to hold it in.
Everything in.
So I luckily had a spare, but we always have to have spares in our business. We have to have a backup of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably my most embarrassing and / funny because we still laugh about that now. And
happens to
probably
the best of us.
3 years ago.
That's so great. So how would you say you recover from busy season?
You don't? No, my recovery time is usually a lot of reflecting back on work and going back over all your weddings, and especially in wedding photography, I look at my couple's photos so much that
even after you've given them their galleries? Oh, wow.
I just kind of revisit them in my downtime because it reminds me why I like what I do, because in the thick of, fall wedding season or spring wedding season, you can't even have time to
breathe.
No. Or and it, especially when you have kids, it's downtime, what's that? Self-care? Please.
Exactly. And how do you balance family life with your job?
I have no personal time. I'm basically full-time mom, full-time weddings. Next year we're constructing a little bit. We're going to take a little less weddings.
Good,
Because this year I got to do a couple family sessions and I forgot how much fun working with kids was.
Yeah.
Or was. But we're basically making sure that you have a little bit of time in the down season to just reflect on why you like what you do, because you can get burnout.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I feel like I haven't really thought about that. Yeah. I don't do a whole lot of reflecting afterwards. I feel like once I'm done with busy season, I'm kind of all right, see ya, on to the next year.
I'm going to watch Harry Potter for 8 months.
Exactly. Yeah, champagne. Pretty much. Yeah. If only I had off for 8 months, but it's fine.
But it's my thing is when I have some downtime and start working on blogs and things like that, which I'm very, very bad at. I apologize for all my couples that haven't been blogged yet. But it's nice to go back and just, revisit weddings that made you feel something.
Yeah. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And it reminds you why you love your job, and you have downtime to actually go back and see the good on the crazy days.
That's great. Can we talk about your dog Blanche?
Yes, we can. Everybody loves Blanche.
How is she?
She's good. She just had to go to the vet for her yearly checkup and get shots.
Sweet Blanche.
Blanche is a 85 to 90 pound pit bull mix. And
love our pits.
She is named after the Golden Girls.
Yes, Jill's obsessed with the Golden Girls.
I do. I have a Golden Girls tattoo. If Clark
Where is it? Is it somewhere we can see?
No, I'd have to take my pants off.
Never mind. Don't take your pants off.
At least not all the cameras. But yeah, if my son would have been a girl, he probably would have been named Sophia.
Aw, I love that. That's so
cute. I could have still named her Sophia, but my husband would have been like, that's not a great idea.
All right, we'll move on to the last question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to aspiring photographers who'd like to shoot weddings?
Ooh, good question. My best piece of advice is to find your voice, find what you like about shooting weddings. When I first got into, the wedding game, I didn't really know what
my brand was,
what I really personally liked about weddings.
Yeah.
And I tried to, I found photographers that I liked and I tried to mimic them, but they were just like all over the gamut. I was like, oh, I like this one. It's bright and airy. I like this one. It's sharp and contrasty.
Sure.
And it took me probably 3 years of doing weddings to really find what I loved about weddings. And it was, my colors tend to be more real to the day versus, you know, things, you know, there's tons of wedding photographers out there. So find what speaks to you as an artist. It took me a long time, and as anybody knows my work knows, I love sunsets.
Yes.
So that's like,
love a good sunset.
I love a good sunset. But, you know, don't try to copy anybody's stuff. Get inspired by things, but find things that make you feel something about a wedding day. And it took me, like I said, 7 years now. I've probably 4 years. I felt like I've really found my real grasp of what I like about weddings, and I feel like what makes my work stand apart.
Yeah, and I think your work does stand apart. I think your work is very unique, and you really do a great job with capturing the moments, and that's why I love referring to my clients to you.
I love you.
I love you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This was great.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. Have a good day.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. And if you're we are still holding hands. And if you're looking to hire a great wedding photographer, please check out BOB Photography. What's your website?
Oh, www.bombsoverbettyphoto.com.
There you go. All right, thanks.